It's early in the morning, the lights are on in the greenhouse, and today I'm going to be working on my Portulacaria afra forest. Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my Portulacaria afra forest. I'm going to be redoing the landscape and pruning up the trees. Here is a look at the forest. You can see I've let the trees grow for the first half of summer. And I usually do this because it's a balance between growth and shaping. So I let them grow for the first half of the summer to help thicken up the trunks and the branches. And then I prune them back, and then for the rest of the summer I kind of maintain the form, increase the branching, and keep them miniaturized. This is a good way of kind of balancing growth and keeping the trees shaped. When I initially made this forest, I looked up baobab trees on the internet and I saw this landscape with the rocks and that. And at the time I didn't know it was Kubu Island, a very famous island on a salt plain. And today I'm going to be redoing the landscape using better rocks, a different composition, and just trying to make it look more realistic. I got up early in the morning because I know the work on this forest will take a long time. It might take me all of today and maybe even tomorrow or even the next day. But I'm going to work away at it. It's always grown in this mica pot, and I'm going to be putting it in a ceramic pot so it looks even better as it shows. So I'm going to begin today by pruning up the trees, and then I'll start working on the landscape. The trees in this forest are quite small. You can see they're maybe the height of my hand. So they're quite small, and I don't mind growing them larger, but I've got to do it carefully and slowly. I have to maintain the proportion of the trunk to the height of the tree and just grow it slowly. So as the trunk thickens, the height can go up too. So I maintain the proportions of a mature baobab tree. I'm going to start the pruning now. So on most of these branches, I'll just be pruning them back to the first or second set of leaves, depending on which direction the leaf is facing. Using directional pruning, so when the new growth comes in, it comes in a nice direction. So I will begin, and I will begin on this branch right here. I have a downwards facing leaf right here, and then it has two side leaves, so if I want the branch to cascade, I'll prune it to this downward facing leaf. If I want the new branches to grow left and right, I would prune it to these leaves above. On a mature baobab tree, everything is highly tapered, the trunk, the branches. So yeah, by letting it grow and clipping it back, you start building good taper in your branches and your trunk. And sometimes it takes some big cuts. Like this branch here is getting quite long without much taper, so it may have to get hard pruned back. But I'll start with just kind of a trim, and I'll take it off to this left and right set of leaves like that, and I can always come back and prune it to these downward facing ones if I decide to in the end. These ones I will prune to downward facing ones, keeping the tree quite compact. And I leave a little bit of a stub for dieback. And that little stub will dry up and fall off eventually. There's a vertical one here. And I always recommend, before you start pruning a tree, to check your reference photos. Look at the tree you're copying or the style you want, and try and duplicate that tree. Use it as reference. Now there's a very vigorous branch here. Very tall. So I'm kind of pruning it to a umbrella shaped canopy or a rounded form. That's kind of the typical form baobab grows in. They call it the upside down tree because it looks like a root base that's exposed and planted upside down, or a tree that's planted upside down. So you can see the form of the tree is coming out already. I'm working on the branches at the back here now. And there's some branches back here. So that's got the tree roughly pruned up. So now it's time to go in and look at the branch structure and see if I can, if there's any branches that need pruning away or further shortening. Yeah, just a kind of a careful look at the tree and see what's going on with the structure. So there's a lot going on with the structure. It's kind of getting hard to see the branches. It's a little full looking. There's a branch down here I can prune. Back to here. This one could be pruned back. This one could come back further. This one has a bit of an upward growth here. I'm not sure I want to keep that. Hard to decide. Maybe this branch that's crossing the trunk line could come off and I could keep these other two. So I'll do that. Clean up my stub here. It just fell off. There is some shoots. Well, there's one shoot back here. I could reduce that branch way back if I wanted. But I think for now it's okay. There's a branch up top here that I haven't touched. I think I will prune it back to here. This one needs pruning. That's too long. This one could come back further. I think. Take up my stub in the middle. Yeah, I don't think I want a vertical branch here, so I'm going to take that off. Just keeping the branch fanning outwards. So it's just a matter of looking at each branch one at a time and pruning it up, keeping in mind the profile and the direction of the branch and all the usual pruning rules, one branch dividing into two. I don't think I want this trunk line because it kind of goes back in towards the center of the tree, so I'm going to take that off. Like that. I have some branches, some new branches growing on the inside here. I have to decide, do I want that? I don't think I want this one. It's the wrong direction. This one, I could grow it out, but I already have two branches here, so I don't want a third. It's not a bad location, but you know, it would grow out up into this area. I might leave it on for now. It may replace one of these other branches someday. There's a branch growing back in towards the center of the tree here. I'll take that out, a new one. And there's something going on here. I have a leaf growing back in here, a new branch I don't want. If I can reach it. Gotta figure out where it's coming from. You can defoliate these. Yeah, there's a new leaf growing in back here. A new branch that I don't want back here, so that comes off. This one is getting too long here. Prune that back. This one I don't think I pruned yet. And this one. This one's getting too long. Prune the tip off. So I'll work away doing the detailed pruning on this tree, and then we'll come back and have a look at it. I've been working away on the tree, and this branch back here, it's kind of running parallel to this one. It doesn't really flow outwards. And it kind of starts from the back of this branch. So it's not the most attractive branch in the world. I've been trying to imagine what it would look like if I removed it, and I think it would look better. It would kind of more distinctly divide the two trunks of this tree. And I think it, you know, this will take over as the leader of this trunk line, and it'll give it room to kind of grow in this area. I think it's getting maybe a little too complex in this structure here too. So with that in mind, I've decided to prune it off, and it might kind of leave a bit of a hole up here, but that'll fill in. I think I'd better get rid of it and kind of hopefully increase the flow of the trunk line to something better. Tough decision. It bothers me though, and it's not going to get any better. I mean, I could grow it out and it would kind of heal this wound here a bit, and the direction might look okay in the future. It would expose the trunk behind it. It's kind of almost a triple trunk, this tree. what to do. I think I'm going to remove it. So here I go. This is a big decision and a big cut. So here I go. It's done. And out it goes. And how does the tree look now? I think that looks better. It is a little empty up here, but these branches will fill it in. Yeah, I think it more distinctly divides the trunk lines up. Oh, a big decision. Here's an overall look at the tree now. So I still have a little bit of work to go on it. Sorting out some of these branches here at the back. And if the branch is too crowded, you can use, partial defoliation, get rid of some of the leaves and just clear it out so you can see the branch structure a little better. There's a big stub here I can remove. Yeah. That's gone. Another big stub in here I can remove. I'm just cleaning up some of these wounds. Just taking the stubs off back to living tissue. They're kind of scabbed underneath this stump. This little stub. Now it's looking a little flat top, so I need to reduce this branch back. It's a little too tall. Does need to come back, that branch, so I'll have to do a harder prune here. So here I go. Take the whole top off there. There's a branch coming off here that's kind of growing across the design of the tree. I can take that out. Clean my stubs up here. This is still a little tall here. I'm going to have to prune it back a little harder. So here I go. Looking better. Now this trunk line here, it's getting quite tall without much taper, so I think it needs to be hard pruned back. So here's that branch here. If I prune it back, it's going to open up quite a hole here in the canopy, but yeah, it's just getting too long without any taper. It has some movement. It's been pruned a few times, but it could be improved. I do have a branch coming out the back here. Be nice to get something coming out in this area. There's a lot of segments here which are potential sites for new branches to develop. So do I take the top off? I think I'm going to leave it. The reason is, now that this is getting really good light, there may be branches that develop off of the trunk line here, and then I can prune it back later. If I prune it off now, I don't have much coming out the front of the tree, and I think it would look a little strange for quite a while. There's a branch in here crossing everything. I can take that out. This one's shooting up vertical. I'll get rid of that one. Now, this area is getting too high here too. I think I'll take off the one coming forward here. Well, at least I'll shorten it back. keep the branch. This can be reduced back. This branch is okay, I think. I may have to grow this up just a little higher here in this area to kind of smooth out the curvature of the canopy. This one's growing back in towards the center of the tree. I'll get rid of that. And here I've got two branches growing from one spot. I definitely don't need this one. And the other one, I don't think I need that one either. It's coming off. That helps. Helps clean up the structure. There's one in here. It's getting quite long. This needs to be pruned back. This can be pruned back. There's a branch I missed down here that's hanging down. Take that off. It's getting there. It's getting better. I think I still have some work to do on the back of the tree. I'll just rotate it around and work on the back. Yeah, I've got a long branch here I can prune back. This branch wasn't getting a lot of light. I think I'll take the top off here to prune it. And to prune this one. And even this one. Like that. Okay, that's sorted out a lot of the structure at the back of the tree. Here's a look at the largest Portulacaria afra. It's looking more baobab-like, I think, the structure of it, so I'm happy with the pruning. I'll prune up all the rest of the trees in the forest, and then we'll come back and have a look at the planting. And then I've got to make some big decisions on what pot to use, how big and heavy I want this landscape, how many rocks I'll be using. Yeah, there'll be a lot of decision making on this forest. Here's a look at the main tree from above. So you can see I've opened it up a lot. Kind of refined the structure on the tree. And here is what I took off just one tree today. Massive amounts of branches and foliage. Unbelievable. And these root really easy from cuttings. You just strip off the lower leaves, stick it in bonsai soil, put it in full sun, and 90% of the time they will root. I finished pruning the forest, so here is what I took off today. Massive amount of branches. Yeah, that's a lot. And here's a look at the forest now. So here it is from above. You can see each tree has its own space and spot of sunlight. And if we come down low, you can see each tree is shaped up, cleaned up. I took that big stump that wasn't growing off of this tree, cleaned it up, and the rest were just kind of pruned for shape, direction, making sure each branch has sunlight. So that's the easy part, pruning up the trees. So next will come the landscaping and repotting and some big decisions. Manuela and Reno commissioned a pot, a ceramic pot for this forest, and I got it this spring. It was made by Sophie, and it's a really awesome pot. I could put it in that pot and kind of keep the landscape about the same and the size of the planting similar. It's a little bigger, the pot. I could space the trees out a little more, which would be the practical thing to do, because whenever you have rocks in a landscape like this, it gets really heavy. This planting is one of my heavier trees just because of all these stones. If I didn't have the stones in the planting, it would be very light. I was thinking, I have all those rocks that we collected near Kingston, and I have two choices. I can make a similar planting with better rocks, or I could even go further using even a larger pot, more landscape. So I have to decide what I'm going to do. I have that great big rectangular pot that I got from Chris Hendry that would really, I could do a lot of landscaping. I could have my salt flats around the island, have the start of the island, and maybe some elevation changes for the trees. It could be quite an exciting planting. I don't think I'd be able to lift it by myself, but I don't think that should be a limiting factor in your design of the forest. I can always get someone to help me. So I have to decide which direction I'm going to go. If I'm going to go all out creating this big rocky landscape, or if I'm just going to keep it smaller like this, putting the focus more on the trees and the rocks that I do have. It's a difficult decision to go kind of all out on the landscape or cut back and have a portion of the landscape. I know these trees will grow bigger slowly over the years, and yeah, I don't know. I'll get out Sophie's pot and put it in front and just have a look and see what the possibilities are. And then maybe I'll get out Chris Hendry's pot and try some stones around in it and see which direction I want to go. All out on the landscape or focusing in on a portion of the landscape. In my stone collection here, I have these beautiful stones that we collected. And I've got quite a few of them. They're flat on the bottom and beautifully textured and colored. And I've got a lot of them. I could make quite a landscape, but it would be really, really heavy. Here is a look at Sophie's pot. I've just placed it in front of the forest to give me an idea of how it would look. So it's a little bit longer, the pot, by, quite a bit. There's a look from above. And it's definitely, a really nice color for the planting. I don't know if you can see it very well here, but it goes really nicely with the planting, the greens and the browns. Yeah, it would certainly look good. I couldn't change the landscape a whole lot. I could kind of, make it look better, but it wouldn't be a dramatic change. It would be very similar, but it sure looks nice in that pot. The other pot I have is the giant one from Chris Hendry. I'll show you that one. So down below on the bench here is the other pot. Great big one. It's the same size pot I put the larch forest in. I'll show you that. So over here is the larch forest. So if I wanted to make a bigger landscape, it would be definitely the pot for it. It would give me lots of room for stones and the salt flats. Yeah, it could look quite good, I think, in either pot. If I didn't use Sophie's pot for my Portulacaria afra forest, I would use it on my Schefflera. Here is a look at my Schefflera. So it's growing in a Fuku plastic training pot. So maybe I'll get the Schefflera in the greenhouse, put Sophie's pot in front, and just see how that looks. Here's a look at the pot with the Schefflera. So I really like it with the Schefflera. I know you can't see it very well here, but yeah. I think it's more suited to the Schefflera. These colors in the pot really echo the trunks of the Schefflera because they're kind of a bit greenish and the moss. Yeah, I think this is a better match for the Schefflera. It's about the exact same length as the Fuku bonsai pot too. So it's yeah, it would be a pretty easy transition for the tree to go from this pot to this one. And I think this is a good pot for the Schefflera. It's just the right color scheme. It's the right size. I think it's, and being oval, I think it matches the tree really nicely. I don't really like the square pot with it, the rectangular pot. So yes, I think I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to use this pot for the Schefflera. I've been looking for a pot for the Schefflera and wasn't having much luck finding one, and I think I have the perfect pot right here. So that's the pot I'll use, and I'll use the other great big pot for the Portulacaria afra forest. Here's a look at the large pot with the Portulacaria afra forest. So it's not too much bigger. You know, I've got space on each side lengthwise, and widthwise it's just a little bit wider. Not a whole lot, you know. So yeah, but it allows me to create more of a dry lake bed here and have more stones, kind of making maybe the landscape more of a focal point. I don't know, maybe it'll take away from the trees, but the trees will mature slowly and get better each year, so I think they'll come in balance with the landscape eventually. Yeah, and you know, depth wise, I don't think it's any deeper than the pot it's in. It's a fairly shallow pot. So I have got some landscaping to do.